The writers had obtained a low-cost option of anthropologist Ashley Montagu's non-fiction book, The Elephant Man, A Study in Human Dignity, which was based on a memoir by Dr. Frederick Treves, who treated Merrick in London Hospital in his last years. They had ignored, according to them, a successful English stage play treating the same story, which was about to open on Broadway with a title identical to Montagu's book and their script. The playwright would later sue Brooks Films over the title. Sanger, who aspired to produce films, paid for an option on the DeVore-Berggren script out of his own pocket, and one day left it in the outer office with Brooks's secretary, whom he knew from the Brinks job, asking for her opinion. Brooks prowled his offices like a jungle cat. Not the smallest thing happened without his awareness. Brooks picked up the script, read it over a weekend, and called Sanger in. I had assumed, Sanger wrote later, that Brooks had only wanted to make his own broad comedies. I knew that many people had tried to get him to produce and direct their comedies, and that this was the quickest way to court rejection. Trying to trade jokes with Mel was a popular pastime with people who came to meet him for the first time. It was rarely a successful gambit. The man's mind was agile and his responses often funny, but trying to compete with him was foolish and not destined to win his respect. Unlike other comic writers, actors, or comedians I had met, Woody Allen, Steve Martin, Nathan Lane, who were mostly dour and introverted when out of the spotlight, Mel was always on. If you met him on the street, he'd do a 10-minute improv with you. When I had lunch with him at the commissary at Fox, he would go to each table in the executive dining room and have something clever to say to everyone, while I waited to order lunch. Yet he once told me that he dreaded going on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. "Why?" I asked. "Because I always have to follow that introduction, and here is the funniest man in the world. Too much responsibility." Right away, Brooks spoke about mounting The Elephant Man as a Brooks Films production. 20th Century Fox would never go for it. The triumvirate of Alan Ladd Jr., Jay Cantor, and Gareth Wiggin had recently left Fox, Sanger recalled. Dennis Stanfill, a suit and not a creative type, was running things now. Brooks saw Dustin Hoffman playing the Elephant Man. Sanger argued that they needed a great actor, but one with not so well-known a face, hiding under tons of makeup. Brooks nodded. But then they would need the best actor in the world to play Dr. Treves, the deformed man's physician, he said. They concurred on a couple of basics. The picture ought to be shot in London on as small a budget as we could manage, in Sanger's words. Brooks would sign off on the director and lead players, and he'd guide DeVore and Berggren on script revisions. Now they had to iron out a contract. Brooks arranged a meeting with Alan U. Schwartz, advising Sanger, "Bring your people if you like." Not having a lawyer and unable to obtain one on short notice, Sanger went alone to a Beverly Hills hotel room to meet with Brooks and Schwartz. A distinguished-looking man, tall, slim, Armani-suited, with a blue-striped Turnbull and Asser shirt and red tie, and with a great head of white hair. Sanger was acquainted with him since the lawyer had played a bit as a psychiatrist and high anxiety. As usual, Sanger recalled, Brooks got right down to business. Brooks offered him $100,000 to produce The Elephant Man, and a deferment of another $50,000 after the film breaks even. Considering that Sanger was currently earning $2,500 weekly as a production manager, he was overjoyed. "We'll split the profits, 2/3 to Brooks Films and 1/3 to you," Brooks continued evenly. "We will give percentage points away proportionately, but you'll have a hard floor of 25% of the net." Schwartz said little, limiting himself to smiling and nodding. Sanger felt that the terms were very fair. A hard floor, he explained later in his memoir, meant that no matter how many percentage points we had to give away to write.
To keep listening to this audiobook for free, click the link in the description. It will take you to a free Audible trial where you can listen to this and many other books for free for 30 days.